Oleg Tinkov, the billionaire who lost everything and spoke the truth. Most billionaires disappear quietly when they lose power. Oleg Tinkov did the opposite. He became louder. This is the story of Oleg Tinkov, a self-made billionaire who rose from nothing, built one of the most successful banks in Europe, lost it all, survived cancer, and then chose to speak against the very system that once made him rich. From nothing in Soviet Russia. Oleg Tinkov was born in 1967 in a small mining town in Siberia during the final decades of the Soviet Union. His family was not wealthy, life was strict, limited, and controlled by the state. Opportunities were rare, and ambition was often punished. But Oleg was different. He was restless, competitive, obsessed with independence. As a teenager, he discovered cycling and became a professional athlete, traveling outside the Soviet Union. This exposure changed him forever. While others saw borders, Oleg saw possibilities. The first taste of business. When the Soviet Union collapsed, chaos followed. Inflation skyrocketed, systems failed, and millions lost everything. Oleg saw opportunity where others saw fear. He began trading goods, electronics, and food products, buying cheap and selling fast. He learned business the hard way, without rules, without protection, and without guarantees. His first major success came not from finance, but from food. Oleg launched a frozen food brand and later a beer company, building popular consumer businesses from scratch. He understood branding, marketing, and people better than most trained executives. But his biggest ambition was still ahead. Reinventing banking. In the mid-2000s, Russian banking was outdated, bureaucratic, and intimidating. Oleg Tinkov believed banks should work like technology companies. In 2006, he launched Tinkov Credit Systems, later known simply as Tinkov Bank. There were no branches, no long queues, no paperwork. Everything was remote, digital, and data-driven. At a time when traditional banks laughed at online banking, Tinkov bet everything on it. They were wrong. A billion-dollar disruption. Tinkov Bank exploded in growth. It used algorithms instead of clerks, customer data instead of intuition, and speed instead of tradition. The model was scalable, efficient, and extremely profitable. By the 2010s, Tinkov had become one of the most successful digital banks in the world. Tinkov became a billionaire. This made him powerful and dangerous. The cost of speaking freely. While Tinkov Bank grew, so did political pressure. In Russia, wealth and independence rarely coexist for long. In 2020, Oleg Tinkov announced he had been diagnosed with leukemia, a life-threatening cancer. At the same time, he faced serious legal battles abroad, including tax-related accusations connected to his earlier U.S. citizenship. His health collapsed, his power weakened, and his control over Tinkov Bank began to slip away. Losing the empire. While undergoing cancer treatment, Oleg was forced to sell his stake in Tinkov Bank. He later described it as being forced to sell his life's work at a fraction of its value. The company he built from nothing was gone, not through market failure, but through power. Survival and transformation. Oleg survived cancer after a bone marrow transplant, but he was no longer the same man. Illness stripped away illusions, wealth lost its meaning, power no longer impressed him. He left Russia and began speaking openly about authoritarianism, corruption, and fear. When global political tensions escalated, Oleg Tinkov publicly condemned war and violence, even knowing the cost. As a result, he was stripped of citizenship honors and officially labeled an enemy by the system he once thrived in. He accepted it. The price of truth. By speaking out,
Oleg Tinkov lost his country, his business empire, his billionaire status, and his political protection. But he gained something rare: freedom. A different kind of legacy. Oleg Tinkov's story is not a traditional success story. It is a warning and a lesson. It shows how innovation can challenge power, how success can attract control, and how systems reward obedience more than intelligence. Most importantly, it proves that real strength is not holding wealth. It is letting it go without losing yourself. Final thought. Oleg Tinkov once built one of the world's most advanced banks, but his most important decision came after he lost everything. He chose to speak, and in a world that rewards silence, that may be the most dangerous move of all. This was the story of Oleg Tinkov, not just a billionaire, but a man who refused to disappear quietly.